Why are older people arguing that the economy is booming? If you look at economic metrics, the economy is putting up strong numbers and markets are up. Unfortunately, that doesn't paint the whole picture. Their economy is booming because their house just increased 500% in value in the past 510 years. Boomers are the only generation to be better off financially than their parents and children. At what rates are people being laid off where you live? By how much is the cost of living rising? Because it is growing by every measure. 1. GDP grew 5% last quarter. That's well above the 3% full employment growth rate. 2. Unemployment is well below 5% at 3.8%. 5% is considered normal. 3. Inflation is down to 3.5% for the year, barely above the standard 3% inflation rate that's considered normal and healthy. It's down significantly from its peak a year ago at 8%. 4. Wage growth is at 5% for the year, well above inflation. The US is growing faster than all the other major economies, including China. With inflation under much better control, your perception may be different, but the macroeconomic indicators are very strong despite pundits calling for a recession that passed 2 years. The matrix by which economies are measured indicates the USA is doing incredibly well. A GDP growth just under 5% is very good. The anecdotal stories are a different matter. There are still way too many folks not sharing in the economic good news. We are in a time of change. Pre-COVID is not coming back. Adapting is never easy, but it is what we do. Sure, look at the prices for real estate. Your colleagues bought their homes for an apple and an egg. Unemployment is low, but the cost of living is high, so in a way both people are right. I don't know. I am in my 50s. And what I could afford 3 years ago I can no longer afford. I already work 2 jobs. And they aren't low-paying jobs either. At this point to me it has gotten worse. And my house is paid off. My grocery bill is about 30% higher. I have a family of 4. So that may be why it is hitting me hard. At a macro level it is booming. The GDP growth rates just came out and the economy grew in Q3 4.9%, which is exceptional. The S&P 500 is up 16.7% year over year. Consumer spending remains strong nationally despite inflation. People who don't have debt or older mortgages are benefiting from 16-year high Treasury bond interest rates and 3% mortgages from years ago. However, that won't help you if you are in a state or region or industry that is hurting. Layoffs are historically very low, but that doesn't help if you lose your job. There are real human costs and pain in times of economic turmoil. If you can, move to an area and industry that is booming. Cut debt, especially credit card debt where rates are going up. You may have to make radical changes to take advantage of the current situation. My 75-year-old stepdad is confused by it all. In one breath, he's saying people don't want to work and job seekers expect an hourly rate that's too high. Then, in the next, he can't understand why the cost of renting is so high. And how can anyone afford that? In general, older people are invested in things that are now taking off to the moon. A house, stock markets, so on and so forth. Perhaps by virtue of being older they were able to, and now it's all high up, so their economy is boom boom boom. You are on the other side of that coin. Sure, if all of the pink slips continue, the waves will erode the sand for everybody else. But for now I guess we older folks are seeing things from the yacht. Last quarter's GDP was 4.9%. Unemployment was 3.7%. Anyone who has been around for a while knows that our economy is booming. Because unemployment is low, inflation is falling, and GDP adjusted for inflation is rising fast. In the US, obviously that doesn't mean everyone everywhere is doing good. But, at least in the United States, the economy is performing well. I'm hearing people in their 50s and 60s saying that the economy is booming. They probably own at least one property which has greatly appreciated in value. They're still employed and their kids, if they have any, have probably fled the nest by now. So they're in a position where not only disposable income is high, their net worth is also high. It's the programming called telephone vision. They bought into the vision and it has become their own. I'm 60 but I'm also a school teacher, so yeah, I agree it's not booming. Unemployment is low and inflation is still elevated but has mostly recovered compared to before. GDP is up in real terms. 1. People are always being laid off. Since inflation is a thing, prices are always a thing. The call is always going up. I'm only 42, but I lived through the Clinton boom, the Bush.com bust, the subsequent Bush boom, the 2008 crash, the Obama boom, the COVID crash, etc. It does not matter how good it is objectively, somebody is going to be complaining they were laid off. And somebody else is going to be salty that their favorite luxury went up. Point 2. Inflation is above target. When I was young, and remember, I'm only 42, 5% unemployment was considered impossibly low. We're at 34%. This means that if you switch jobs you are likely to get a massive raise that will make up for the inflation. Certain costs in certain regions are truly out of control. Particularly real estate. OTOH, you don't have to live in Boston. You don't have to live in LA. You could do what generations of Americans did and live in Detroit or Cleveland, where sub $100,000 houses still exist and $150,000 houses can be quite nice. The unemployment rate is sitting at 3.8% right now.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.